Welcome to Beyond the News. I'm Faye. Today we'll talk about a real story of how a 23-year-old young man escaped out of China. It is quite an unusual and a touching story. Why did this young man choose to leave his family and escape from his motherland? What kind of difficulties did he go through to make it out of China? What is awaiting ahead of time for him? This is really an intriguing real-life story, and I think you wouldn't want to miss it. Let's say that what he has done and achieved so far is like a dream come true for so many young souls living inside the wall. In a certain aspect, I would say that he is lucky since he has actually made it out of the wall. A few days ago, he was interviewed by The Voice of America and shared his story. His name is Xu Zhen. Xu had been planning the escape for 6 months. On June 25th last month, he left China via the Shenzhen customs. When questioned by the public security officers, he pretended very hard to look calm. He held a Ukrainian business visa and he told officers that he was going to inspect the local restaurants market in Ukraine and planning to open a Chinese restaurant there. He said that he will be back in a month. The police checked his documents repeatedly and took him to a small room, continued interrogating him. Xu's heart was beating so fast. He thought if something went wrong in the customs, not only he won't escape this time, but he might never have another chance to leave China. Fortunately, he got the approval to depart after a painful long hour of police checking. Once arriving at Hong Kong airport, tears welled up in his eyes. He couldn't stop crying, and also he wasn't sure where his future would be. But he knew that he can say whatever he wants now, without needing to fear that the police might be knocking on the door at any moment. Why would Xu risk so much for leaving China? Xu was born in Sichuan province. When he was 16, he learned how to bypass the Chinese Great Firewall and started reading real news and materials from outside of the world. He saw all the information that were blocked by the Chinese government, such as the umbrella movement in Hong Kong in 2014. Hong Kong people's spirit fighting for democracy and the democratic elections that people have outside of China really inspired him. From then onwards, Xu often jumps China's Great Firewall to find out what's really going on in China. Xu said that he had seen countless cases of human rights abuses of the Chinese Communist regime, such as the mass arrest of human rights lawyers on 9th of July 2015, and millions of Uyghurs were put in China's concentration camps, and many more. Xu felt really sad and suffocated in heart.
但是我又没有办法在中国的公开场合去声援他们，因为那样的话我也会有生命之灾，所以说我一直是很煎熬、很痛苦的。
Even though Xu tried hard to avoid being in the Chinese police radar, he still got caught and he was questioned by the police twice. The first time it was back in 2018, he used a Chinese email account to sign a public letter to the US White House petition website. The letter was about objecting Beijing's brutal policy towards Xinjiang and its treatment of Uyghurs people. Xu was taken away by police while he was attending school. The second time was in 2019, when a Chinese court gave 9 years prison term to a dissident pastor named Wang Ying for inciting subversion of state power. For that, Xu wrote on WeChat, Wang Ying is innocent, and he was asked to have a chat with police again. After seeing all the atrocities and with his own experiences, Xu no longer believed in the Chinese government's public propaganda and its indoctrination in school. In 2019, a few days before the college entrance examination in China, he had an argument with the head of the school about what happened during the Tiananmen Square massacre. Because of that, he was expelled by his school without being able to sit for the university entrance examination. Xu told VOA about this argument. It was in a class lesson. The teacher was actually brainwashing the students by saying that the origin of the Tiananmen Square protest at 1989 was due to the capitalists stirring up the students to overthrow the government. He challenged the teacher and said that that was not the case. He pointed out that the real cause of the Tiananmen Square protest was because students were targeting corruption in government and demanding freedom of speech. These were the reasons they went on the streets. After that exchange, the teacher reported him to the school leaders, resulting in that argument between Xu and the head of the school. 2 days after Xu was expelled, he found a job in Shenzhen, a city next to Hong Kong. Xu chose Shenzhen for 2 reasons. One is because it is easy to find jobs there. She had done various casual jobs before, like food delivery, courier, restaurant waiter, cashier, and others. The other reason is that Shenzhen is close to Hong Kong. At that time, the Hong Kong protest was at its height. He wanted to join the Hong Kong people to protest the communist regime. While working in Shenzhen, she went to Hong Kong twice and joined the 2 million people's protesting that happened in August 2019. While in Hong Kong, she heard everyone in the street shouting, "Down the CCP." He saw with his own eyes that a police tear gas bomb hit a child's head, and the child's blood was everywhere, and the mom was helplessly crying on the side. She said that what he saw in Hong Kong in the summer of 2019, he will remember it for the rest of his life. Back then, she hadn't thought of escaping China yet, but because of the pandemic, the Chinese government was putting more restrictions on overseas traveling. She said that he obtained a lot of information from Twitter, so he saw signs that the Chinese President Xi was planning to close up the country, and he noticed that it's getting harder to obtain passport. She started to feel anxious, and he finally made the decision to leave the country. She said, for an ordinary citizen like him, it was difficult to get a visa to those big and developed Western countries, so he started to think about other countries as alternatives. She spent months researching various countries' entry and isolation policies and to plan an escape route. He received help from his Twitter followers as well. After several months of secret planning, he decided to leave from Shenzhen by taking a ferry to Hong Kong and then fly from Hong Kong to Kiev, the capital of Ukraine, via Istanbul. She was one of the lying flat people we have described as one of our previous programs, that he didn't make nor spend much money. The plane tickets and all the applications cost him nearly 20,000 RMB, which he saved up for a whole year. He didn't tell anyone about his plan, what he was up to, and where he was heading, because he feels that China is now like how it was in the atmosphere of the Cultural Revolution again, and he is worried about being reported by someone he's close to. He said that at least 80% of the people around him are extreme CCP enthusiasts. One day in June, she took his parents to a photo studio and took a few family portraits with them. He told the parents that he would leave for work again and had no idea about when he would be back. But he knew this may be the last time he saw them, as he will not be coming back, and there might be no chance for him to stay with parents again. After she left China and arrived in Kiev, he decided to go public. On 1st of July, the date that marked the 100 years birthday of the CCP, she posted his real name and a picture of himself protesting in front of the Chinese embassy in Kiev. Then he told VOA about his story. Just hours after Xi tweeted out his story, the police in China found Xi's parents and kept harassing them. The police monitored his parents' phones, controlling the activities, and took away Xi's personal belongings he left at home, such as his mobile phone, computer, and other personal belongings. When Xi's parents called him while WeChat, his father was yelling at him. To quote his dad directly, "You traitor! What's wrong with China? You come back now and turn yourself in, or you can just die there. How did I raise someone like you?" Xi told VOA his parents are both good people. His father is a laid-off worker from a state-owned enterprise, and his mother is a self-employed worker. They are not even the CCP's party members, nor are they from the benefited group in China. They similarly support the Communist Party only because of the party's propaganda and the lifelong brainwashing result they have received. She said even though his parents are supporters of the party, the Chinese Communist regime will not stop harassing them. After demonstrating in front of the Chinese embassy, she felt that Ukraine wasn't a safe place to stay because the Chinese embassy has set up WeChat groups and people in these groups are collecting information and reporting what is happening in the local Chinese community. He said it is very likely that his daily activity has already been recorded by those local Chinese. Moreover, recently Beijing used 500,000 Chinese-made vaccines as a bargaining condition, forcing the Ukraine government to withdraw a statement which was for supporting investigation of the human rights situation in Xinjiang. So she is worried that China might put pressure on the Ukraine government to deport him back to China. On July 11th, she took a plane to Ecuador via the Netherlands and decided to forfeit his final destination and stayed in Amsterdam. Because of Netherlands' opposition against Hong Kong's national security law and condemns the concentration camp in Xinjiang, she thinks that a country like this will protect him in the human rights aspect. He hopes to apply for political asylum there. She didn't know where he would go next and what his fate would be. He only knew that there was no turning back for him now. He told the VOA, right now he felt afraid, isolated, and helpless, but he has never regretted coming out of China. He wants to say to everyone in China who desires freedom like him, the opportunity to come out of China is as precious as taking a boat to Taiwan in 1949. And he hopes that everyone can live in a place outside of that big prison, China. It's really an intriguing story of a brave young man, right? She is just one of tens of millions of Chinese people who believe and desire freedom. It affirms the saying, freedom is not free, isn't it? In any case, let's all give our best wishes and pray to this brave young man, Xu Zhen. Alright, that's all for today. If you liked the video, please don't forget to give me a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel, turn on the notification bell. Thank you for watching Beyond the News. I'm Faye. Until next time.